All right, welcome into a very special edition of Beyond the Arc. Special because Chris Walker and I get to work together, our hoops guru. Let's go. John moving or vacationing, Ash schmoozing, working sources in Vegas. Chris, you and me, my man, let's go, dude. Hello and welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Listen, you wanted the right guy to come on and let them go do their thing. Let's mix this thing up right now and have some fun.
All right, we're going to get into some Team USA. I'm going to pick your brain on sort of what we've seen and whether or not there's any excuses for this group of massively talented dudes not to win gold. I know you like to kind of, you've got a little edge to you, and I'm excited for it because I put together my way too early predictions that even looking at them there might be some holes here, Chris, that you can kind of point out for me.
Fill them in.
All right?
Fill them in. I'll fill them in.
Fill them in. All right, subscribe, like, go get this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Listen, like, subscribe, get on YouTube, check it out. Look at my face for radio and Chris's face for TV. Hang out with us however you want to. Let's go. We have talked nonstop, Bronny, and we have sort of broken down as much as you can, Chris, what you can glean from his summer league appearances he's playing right now as we're broadcasting. I want to get a coach's perspective. Obviously, you're an expert of the NBA. At college, you have coach at the collegiate level. What have you seen from Bronny so far, if anything, that you think you can transfer to this NBA season or just an NBA career?
You know what? Let me just preface this by saying I am the biggest LeBron fan on the planet, okay? So I want to make sure, because LeBron's probably going to see this at some point or someone around him. You got to understand that this is a bias, and I'm a media guy, and I'm going to tell the truth, Bill. That's what I'm going to do.
Keep it real.
We all know the deal and the reason why he's in the NBA. I don't besmirch for LeBron for doing what he did. Don't bemoan the Lakers from doing what they did. It is good business. Now, let's talk about the player. Again, you're talking about a guy who's going to be at the end of the bench or is going to be in the G League. He's a developmental player. Only because it's Tinseltown and there's so much fodder around the greatest, probably one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player to ever play, and it being a first-time thing to play with his son is the reason why we're having this conversation. And again, people need headlines, they need news, but what he's done thus far is nothing different than what I expected, and then they're trying to, couch it as or trying to tell us and frame the argument that, hey, we're developing him on defense. Bill, you know as well as I, when have you ever heard something like that about a draft pick? We're working on his defense. That's how we're going to feature him. Who is he stopping in the NBA? Steph Curry? Like, tell me the guard he's stopping. And
he's not. He's small, right? He looks small out there.
Exactly. But who is he stopping? Like, when have we ever said that? We're drafting a guy because of his defense. Ask the Sacramento Kings drafting, what his name, Off Night, the kid from Baylor, how that work out. At the end of the day, the basketball is a tall man's game, and basketball is a guy who has specific skill sets. This was nothing other than drafting LeBron's son because of LeBron's son, and I feel bad for him because he's going to get levied all of these different things because of his dad. Pray to God LeBron has a great season because we won't talk about it as much, but it's going to be a topic every single time. No one talks about the Nassis at all, right? Who talks about him, right? No one talks about him.
All right, let me try to inject a little realism in a situation that is so, I think, as you just said, it's absurd. We know he got drafted because of his dad. We know he didn't get drafted on merit. We know he shouldn't have been the 55th pick in this draft. But I'll say this, there are certainly scouts, and I'm sure you talked to him too, Chris, and with your eye, maybe you saw the same thing, who said, okay, if Bronny had gone to college for another year or two, if he had a different name on his back, there was a world where maybe he could have developed or could develop into an NBA talent. So, and not a superstar, but could have taken more time.
Correct.
Let's just presume that that's accurate. Let's just say that, okay, if Dad had pulled the strings or Bronny hadn't used Dad's leverage to get him in, he can be an NBA player. And you're right, he's going to be under the gaze nonstop of what is expected of LeBron James' son. I'm going to talk about him every day on the radio and on the podcast. You're going to do it on HQ and here he's going to be a talking point. Right. But let's just say that we could fast forward to 2 or 3 years. We could make the timeline more reasonable, even if we're not going to be reasonable as we wait for it. And you are charged with trying to get him to that place, right? To be an NBA player who can have a career 2 or 3 years from now that he's under Lakers team control and has this, again, ridiculous 4-year deal, 3 of which is guaranteed. What's the plan? If LeBron calls you and says, Chris, I'm a little pissed off at you for what you said with Ryder, but I want you to be the guy to help Bronny, and you can do anything you want. The G League, NBA with the Lakers. What plan do you construct to try to increase the odds that this young dude can have a career once dad is retired and rides off into the sunset?
Bill, I'm going to echo what I said before. He's a developmental player. And guess what developmental players play? The G League. And guess what? There are guys in the G League that I have seen do unbelievable work and never get to play in the NBA. So what I'm saying is, for me, here's my thing. And here's my animus towards
he's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it. But again, they gave him a guaranteed contract to have him on the bench with his father. But here's my animus. I believe that certain guys need to prove themselves in college, Bill. They need to do it. Right. And what I'm saying is you take certain players. And again, if he was 6'7", if he was long and athletic, because the NBA drafts on what? Potential. Right. You see some of those guys. Think about A.J. Johnson averaged 2.9 points over in Australia and got drafted in the first round. And look at the guys that got drafted at the top 2 picks in the draft. You're talking about guys averaging 9 and 10 points. But it's projection. So we can't project a 6'2" guard who struggled in college. I get it, what happened with his heart, but still didn't prove anything. How do you justify that other than his dad? You have no other way to justify it.
All right, let me give you a comp that I've been clinging to some sense of optimism because Bronny's a really impressive kid. I know he doesn't deserve the shot that he got, but he got the shot, and I don't like seeing people fail. So you tell me if I'm being unrealistic. But I'm thinking of another dude who carries a big name. It's not his name, not as big as the LeBron James name, but a Hall of Famer's name, who is almost the exact same size, was an undersized guard, had a pretty good vertical at his combine, just like Bronny, was pretty long for a dude that's 6'2", just like Bronny, and that guy is GP2. Now, GP2 went to college longer. He got to go into the G League. He was undrafted. So this was somebody who didn't have massive pressure, but he developed defensively. He worked on his shot a little bit. He's an athletic dude. Is there a world where Bronny could grow into that kind of a role? No, you don't think so.
It's square peg, round hole. So here's my thing. You just mentioned GP2. GP2 was a baller at Oregon State.
Yeah.
He was a dude.
Okay, fair.
That's why I'm saying like LeBron did. Like there are guys, think about it. And here's and again, what I have about NBA execs, they talk about ceilings. There are guys that put in work in college that could definitely play in the NBA. Trishan Newton was MOP 2 straight years at UConn and barely got drafted. Cam Spencer, again, we're talking about UConn. They're talking about Klingon, they talk about Castle, but the 2 best players on that team were those 2 guards. But yet the NBA is hard to find a place for those guys. So college success is not indicative of what can happen in the league. But what it does tell me is that those guys, if they can be elite, they would have a chance. So how can I say LeBron James's son would have a chance when he only averaged, didn't start, averaged 5 points a game, and I don't want to say struggled, but what makes you think? Give me the redeeming quality other than his last name that makes you think that he could be that guy. Do you realize he wasn't even All-State in California, was McDonald's All-American? So at what point does the gift stop giving, Bill? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so let's take your logic. I have some questions for you. Do you think Rob Pelinka knows that he drafted a dud? Do you think he knows, like, we did what we had to do?
This had nothing to do with Rob Pelinka. This is about signing LeBron. So, yes, he knows. Absolutely.
Does Dad know? Do you think LeBron is self-aware?
Delusional if he doesn't. Delusional. Like Bill, you and I can talk about this. Jordan better than LeBron.
I love the honesty.
But delusional. Like, again, he's your son. I have a brand new daughter. Like, of course, she's going to do everything. And I'm going to say everything is great about her no matter what. Right? No matter what. That's my daughter, even though it may be the truth. Yeah. See, here, I'm biased already. So, of course, he thinks, right, at the end of the day, because there are other – again, we've seen this in business. We've seen LeBron is one. I was talking to an NBA executive the other day. LeBron is one of one that can make this happen. He's one of one. And only because he's performing at a high level still for the Lakers that this even happened. Because if he ended his career like rest in peace like Kobe, they never would have done this. Would you agree or disagree? I
100% agree. Dude, I love the candor. Because, look, you're not wrong. And every single person that I've talked to, so this is sort of my worldview and sort of where I get my info. I live in LA, and obviously Bronny played sometimes, not well at USC. So guys came in to scout him. So I would get dinner and drinks with guys just after they scouted him, just after they went to practices. And to your point, every single one of them said, not a player. Now, a few of them said go to college for a couple more years, maybe, right? Maybe. But if he goes to the NBA, this was back in March, the season, January, February, it ain't going to happen. So I'm with you, but I don't want it to be true. And here, part of because of my last question, I don't know Bronny J. I know LeBron a little, right, as much as you can. I know Bron. I don't know his son, but I was around him at the combine, and I liked him, and I was shocked how impressed he was and the scrutiny. So do you think he knows that he is a joke is not fair, but that he is an illusion, that he is not good enough? Or do you think he is under the misconception he can make?
You know what? It's Shahari's window, right? You talk about blind spots. When you're given everything, sometimes you can fall into that illusion that this is the way it's supposed to be and this is the way the world works. We see it in different mediums in life. And all I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you know the truth. It's the unspoken word. I love LeBron, but when LeBron makes a turnover, people got to realize LeBron has the most turnovers in NBA history. So when D'Lo makes a turnover, everybody goes crazy. But when LeBron makes it, my bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, man, no one can criticize you, but you can criticize everyone else. It comes back to LeBron's son. At the end of the day, do you want to have a truth-telling? Let's have truth-telling day or truth-telling or honesty Friday, right? Let's have honesty Friday and really have that conversation. He knows, the kid knows, but here's the thing: who cares? All you ask for is a shot. So all you ask for is a chance. So he has a chance, right? If you want to win the lottery, you can talk about the process all you want, but you got to buy a ticket. So he's got a chance. Now the question is, will JJ Redick, which is another part of this equation,
you're right.
So I'll ask you this question. Let me pose this question to you, Bill. Game comes up. Who are you putting in the game? Gabe Vincent, LeBron James Jr. Cam Christie, LeBron James Jr. Who are you putting in the game? Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James Jr. Who are you putting in the game?
Throw any other of the 14 names at me and it's the one that's not Bronny. By the way, to your point, everything you said, if you're right and you've sold me, he's going to get humiliated by players who are going to not be big fans of the fact that there's somebody there, one of the most exclusive clubs on earth that are usually about merit, who didn't earn it. All right, so dude, it's like you're throwing cold water onto what the show has been trying to do, and I like it. It is Chris keeping it real, Walker. I don't know if you have a nickname, but I love this, dude. I can't. They're gonna do this to me in 2 segments, so we're gonna in a little bit. Chris is gonna do this to me when he listens to Bronny. He's going to throw some cold water on my joy and my hopes for the future. But first, how about this? Let's take a quick break, and let's talk about the James who actually can ball and what it looks like if this USA team were to stumble at all at the Olympics. That's next on Beyond the Arc. All right, welcome back into Beyond the Arc. Please remember to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Ask a question, we might use it. I don't know if you're a Step Brothers fan, but there's a scene where do we just become best friends? I love how candid you are. And I'm going to say this right now. Being candid isn't being unkind. Being full of crap is actually the thing that's unkind. So let's keep it real here. I'm going to be really honest. This is a character flaw. Chris, I recognize that. I don't usually care about the Olympics at all. I just can't. But I watched USA Canada. It was a scrimmage, right? It was an exhibition game. 2 really good teams. There are 10 NBA players on that Canada roster. If anybody were to be the team that comes out and wins gold in Paris in a few weeks, it's not USA. It's probably Canada. And I kind of got fired up with just how talented this team is. What is your level of excitement just about Olympic basketball as it gets underway?
Listen, this all culminated with the Dream Team, and this is before Europe. They were playing basically against high school players back then, and now Europe is completely different. Almost half the players that are in the NBA are European. Or I always say, and let me just say this, and people get mad when I say this: Canada is North America. I don't count it as Europe. A lot of those guys play basketball, college, and high school in America. So I count them the same. They can say shade goes, no, they are American. They are part of North America basketball. Europe
and basketball culture, ecosystem.
Completely different place.
Yeah.
So again, so I would say that to say that Canada probably has 8 players, right, that have played in America before they got to the league, right? Now, yes, I'm excited about it only because of the guys that are on our team, right? What makes it cool is, to me, Bill, when people say, "Oh, America's far behind, Europe is taking over," I say, "Okay, get past 3 names and then talk to me: Luka Doncic, Joker, and Giannis, and then talk to me about the other guys."
Wemby's coming. Wemby's coming.
I'll throw Wemby in there. But he just hasn't done anything to the magnitude.
Right,
of
it's fair.
But I'll throw, and then give me the rest of the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Give me the all-stars from Europe.
Talk me into this, because here's my thing about this team. They are so talented. They are so – just watch them against Canada. I mean, look, it's obvious, but you see those names out there. You see those players. They have to win. To me, there is a lack of drama or intrigue because – and you correct me if you see it differently – anything short of winning gold, frankly, losing a single game, even a group play and you get through, to me is unacceptable, can't happen, seems totally impractical. So I'm excited, but I just don't see a world where this – I think our second team, whatever that looks like, take your starting 5, whatever it is, put it aside, the other guys, I think, would win gold. I think the separation is that extreme.
Well, I will say this, again, the arrogance of USA basketball has hurt us a couple times. Or just throwing guys out there. Just throwing guys out there just because they have names and thinking because they played in the league and they can put these guys together and mix them in a pot like gumbo and it's going to taste great. That's not the case because those teams are more aligned. And again, they're playing for country. Not that the guys at USA aren't, but that's just not the culture. And Colangelo and Coach K have done a good job of building it, but it's not the culture. I'm at an ANU event now, and our culture is college, right? And then they're trying to infuse USA basketball. And when they get to the league, it's pride and country. And they only play when they think there's an issue, right, Bill? If they think there's an issue, all of a sudden the big dogs step in. So seeing Steph throw a lob to LeBron is amazing, right? Now you're talking about seeing Jordan throw a lob to Pat Ewing or something like that back in the day. This dream team, Kawhi, I call it a dream team because it's probably one of the better ones we've had since Jordan and Magic and an Ailing Bird back in the day. And my guys, we sit there going, all right, we had this discussion. Let's go guy for guy. Which dream team is better? You start going guy for guy, position for position. All-time leading scorer, best shooter of all time, best scorer at 7 foot. And you start having a real discussion, Bill. So now
I think it's real.
I'm trying to drum up some excitement for why you should watch because the NBA is better now. Europe is better now. And if these guys win maybe this is the best dream team ever.
All right, look, you have me, you sold me. It feels like unpatriotic not to be more excited. So I'm trying, and I will say this, like LeBron and Steph playing together is really, really cool. I mean that, and it's. I know we know this. It is insanity that Stephen Curry has never been on an Olympics team, and then this is his first run.
Yeah, you're right about that.
It's absurd, and so you're right. You can't just. I love that you said a few minutes ago the gumbo thing. That is a mistake that America's made before. That we're just more talented. I think the fact that these are the best players we have, and certainly I think most of them are so hell bent on getting gold, and the fact Steph's never done it, I think we'll get the best. I think the gumbo is going to taste pretty good. I didn't love the way Embiid looked in that game. I'm not sure that it matters, but would you like my starting 5, right? My starting 5 would be LeBron. You can criticize this. Would be LeBron, Steph, KD. KD's healthy, easy. Before at least the Canada game, I would have gone Embiid over AD. And producer Aaron talked me into this, but I like it. And then just throw Drew Holiday out there, do the dirty work, guard the opposing team's best player. That's my starting 5. Anybody want to swap it around? Feel right?
You guys are reading my mind. Embiid. Here's what I think. Embiid was hurt doing it. He just looks slow, Bill. And one thing I know about European basketball, you can't be slow. The ball moves. They don't dribble. They don't play isolation basketball like we do. They move. The ball whips around the perimeter. They shoot threes. They shot fake. They drive. They kick it. It's just like at Embiid is like an old time. Again, he can make some threes and he has a 15-foot jump shot. But it seems like he only thrives when basketball centers around him. And in this game, everybody's a star. You got Anthony Edwards saying the game revolves around me. And the one criticism I had, and I know you hate my guy. I got to get on you.
Who?
Tatum. I thought Jalen.
I don't hate Tatum.
But Jalen Brown should have been the guy to replace Kawhi. And I'm like, okay, and that would have made it ridiculous. Now you got the MVP of the NBA playing in the Olympics. I'm like, guys, you missed a moment there. You're like, to really get people more engaged, right? Grant Hill, I get it. This is what he does. But I'm like, I would have brought in Jalen Brown in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I get. It's also interesting it's such an if, but if it creates any drama. So Brown gets the Finals MVP, but Tatum gets the gold medal, and is there any schism that creates? I kind of get with Derek White, and just again another guy that you can play defense, do dirty work.
Why would you bring another Celtic?
I know it's still a Celtic. I could hear Ash's head explode wherever she is when the news came out, because she's a Knicks fan. She wanted Brunson. All right, you sold me though. Look, I feel like you took some American patriotism and just injected it into a vein. Beautiful. I love it. It's great. I'm in for the Olympics. Would you agree that not winning gold would be a catastrophic, unacceptable piece of absolute humiliation, right?
Yes.
That's an even
100%. You've been in Canada with all of their pros. If that's the one team that may be able to beat them, that's the one that beat them before. But I'll say this: it comes down to this: when these guys get some flow, KD wasn't there as you mentioned before, and they get a flow, and they just started camp, right? And none of them ever played with each other. They just finished the NBA season, just like Canada. At the end of the day, when they bear down and play the way they're supposed to play, it's going to be really tough. They started off that game, missed their first 6 shots. They're feeling each other out. Who's the alpha dog? You're bringing Tatum, right? Booker started, but he'll come off the bench. You're bringing Tatum, Booker, and Edwards off the bench, and AD off the bench. Now, I think AD should be starting, but you're bringing those 4 players off the bench. Arguably, 4 of the top 10, depending who you're talking to, 10 to 15 players in the NBA, and that's your bench. You should win. I'm not saying they should blow them out like see. What I want to do is juxtapose both dream teams. Just win the championship. Right. Period. And, that's all they care about is walking away with a gold. No one's going to talk about how they blew them out, because what they did in 92 will never happen again. So let's let that go and give the NBA credit, because they have globalized the game and made the Olympics more attractive. You look at that roster of games, those are some really good games.
Those are teams. Even Spain's good. They play well in those competitions. By the way, you just gave me an idea for when it is slow. Later, I want to do later. So producer Aaron, remember this. I want to do an alpha rankings. Just take the entire U.S. men's national team roster and just rank the biggest alpha all the way. If you're at the end, you're a beta. I'm sorry. That's just that we're gonna do that later in the year. I have done a way too early NBA awards ballot that basically is due in 10 months. I'm gonna give it to you, and I want you to come at me, Chris, if you need to. Okay, you ready?
Chopping it up.
Let's go. Next on Beyond the Arc.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game.
Madness of Messi alive!
Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Whoa.
And all day long!
24/7.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. I'm Bill Rucker. He's Chris Walker. You can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also look at our amazing, beautiful faces on YouTube, on our YouTube page. Go over there, like it, subscribe, right? Let's go. All right. So this is way too early, but I feel good about it. There's no guarantees, but if you're listening, you want to put some money down, you're like, Chris, I gotta tell you, I feel pretty strong. I'm gonna start with MVP. I have a vote, so I vote every year. So this is how my ballot starts. It's just a guess. You ready? I'm gonna count from 5 to 1. I'm gonna save it, little suspense. Number 5, Luka Doncic. Gonna have a great year, but I think maybe a little bit of a step back for Dallas, right? Kyrie's awesome, so he cannibalizes a little bit of the action there. Number 4, Jalen Brunson. I think the Knicks are going to be extraordinary. They might feel a little bit like the Celtics this past year, where they're so deep and they're so good that while Brunson's the focal point, it feels less like it's the Jalen Brunson show, where he's running an ensemble of really talented guys. I'm putting Wemby 3. I think he's going to be in the mix. I think there's a world where the Spurs, especially with Chris Paul coming into the mix, he's not my best friend, but 40 wins. And Wemby does these crazy things. Hold on. Two is Joker, and my MVP for the 2004-05 season, 24-25 season, Anthony Edwards. He's not the alpha of the Olympics, but he's the alpha of the next season.
Listen, no Brown.
Get me.
No Tatum.
Nope.
Wow.
My guy Tatum. You're out, Tatum.
I got Tatum. But my MVP, actually, you know what? Great minds think alike. I said Anthony Edwards, and here's the reason why. No MVP, really? they won't win enough. So you can win Coach of the Year if you bring your team back to get to 40 wins, but you can't win Player of the Year. So my thing is, even with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they won the first seed, and their head coach won the MVP, but Shai did not win he won the Coach of the Year, but Shai didn't win the MVP. And they had the same record.
Second, though.
Yeah, I thought Shai should win. But again, I think winning is a part of it. And I think that Minnesota is going to build everything around Anthony, so he'll have a chance for more success. So I think it'll come down to Tatum. I think it'll come down to Embiid, Tatum, Edwards, and Alexander. Those are my choices. I think they're going to move away from Joker. People just aren't going to allow them to pick him again. Right? It's just not.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason Shai's not on there is I think, look, the Thunder are going to be amazing and probably the best team in the NBA, but I do wonder if they're going to be so good and so interesting, he's not going to get the credit he deserves because he didn't win, but people like narratives. And I think that if Ant comes on, I also have Wemby in there, which other people won't. Chris, I think he's going to do insane things.
They just got to win. That's the problem is winning. It's the winning part.
What if he wins 40? What if they win 42 games and they make the play?
And he's got to win more. I'm sorry. The Wemby's day is coming, but I don't think he should leapfrog Shai because I thought Shai should have got it last year. Can't leapfrog Anthony Edwards because there's a whole lot of groundswell of people that love him already, and we'll see what happens with the Olympics. And then Jason Tatum, there's no way. First team All NBA. Again, he should have been an NBA.
He's not winning.
How? You know what I'm saying? How?
He's not
the best team. Come on, Bill.
He wasn't even the Finals MVP.
Tatum hate. I got to get the Tatum hate.
He wasn't even the Finals MVP. He's not even the. He's not the best player on his team when it matters.
No, he led him in every category. Jaylen Brown shot 44%. He shot,
including missed big shots.
He scored 30 points twice. He scored 30 points twice.
I know. Yeah.
He led him in every category, and he shot 5% less. And the other guy wins the. And I don't want to rail against Jaylen Brown because he's really good, but even Jaylen Brown would tell you, and everybody was watching when they said Jaylen Brown. Okay, you guys didn't pick him from All NBA any team. So he wins East Conference MVP and final. How about this? Let me just say this. If his name was, he led him in scoring, points, last name James, does he not get the MVP? Last name Jordan, does he not get the MVP? There you go.
I thought it was a little rickety in some of those games. I will put Tatum I'll do this for you. I will put Jason Tatum in my top 15 MVP ballot next year.
Bill, you're killing me right now. You got the top 15? Come on.
All right, maybe we can agree on Coach of the Year. You ready?
Like Duke players or something, but that's just again.
He's great. He's just not as great as other people in the league, including his own guy. I'm messing with you because you're right. He also got doubled all the time. He's extraordinary. I just think there's so much talent on that team. If we're talking regular season, he said it. He said it. I think in March he wasn't going to get as much love as he deserved because he was going to basically be downgraded by people like me for having a more talented group of guys around him. And there's probably something.
But yet he still led them in the playoffs in every single category and in the finals in every single category. So I do think Brunson was more valuable, by the way, in the whole run. He's a more volume guy, and he had to be.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing.
And he wasn't double.
And I know we'll see what happens. We're talking about this amongst a bunch of NBA guys yesterday. We'll see what happens when Randall comes back. We'll see what happens because that's what people are missing here. You're right. The alpha male, and we're going to see what happens when he comes back. And now they got to fix that whole.
I'm not sure it works. I could see them moving him out in January.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, last point before I want to run these coaches by, but to your point on Tatum, and I think this is worth saying because when I'm talking about Tatum, I think we all are. We're using the paradigm we always use in the NBA, which championship teams have an alpha or a best player at least. I just think the Celtics are historically rare in the balance of that team. And while Tatum is probably the best player in that team, I think it is a team in a unique way for an NBA champion where I just don't think it follows the same rule where like Jordan had to be the best player for them to win every single night. LeBron had to be the best player at least 4 nights per. I just think the Celtics are built differently, and that's not a shot at Tatum. I just think they're a team in a unique way, and he's significant. He's the most important part of that because he's selfless in that respect, and he takes so many doubles, frees up the other guys and plays defense. So I love Tatum.
Great that you say that. You're making my point for me. You got a guy who gets double teamed all the time, yet he still leads them in every category. That guy's pretty good.
You see, man. All right. Look, I'm open to Tatum. Love. I'm open to.
I never said anything about him being doubled. I'm just using your preference.
No, you're right.
Words that he gets doubled. So the guy gets doubled every time. Still leads him in scoring. Still leads him in assists and rebounds. Well, that's a pretty good player to me.
I'm taking it in. Look, I'm like Jason Tatum. I can learn from my mistakes and be better in the clutch going forward. So I'm going to work on it.
And he's 6'10", by the way. I'm just saying that's
no, he's amazing.
He's a
all right, coach of the year. Number 3, Mr. Dagnall down in Oklahoma City.
Dagnall, okay.
Number 2 is a bit of a surprise, and this requires a big leap, but I think Ime Udoka. Every year, predictions, I take one surprise. What a coach. And I think to your point about maybe me giving Wemby too much credit, I think wins are important, but I think it's more about wins versus to expectations. And if that Rockets team is, let's say they sneak into the 6th spot because some other teams underperform, which I don't think is impossible, he'll get the credit and he should. So I got Udoka 2. I've got Nick Nurse at 1 because I do think that it's not a guarantee to get guys who we saw this in Brooklyn. There's no guarantee PG and Embiid and Maxey are going to work. And I think there'll be injuries and he'll have to work his way around. And I do think Daryl Morey's done a nice job sort of building out that roster from 2 guys in Maxey and Embiid, but you still got to make it work. This is me just thinking Philly's going to be really good. So I'm going to go Nick Nurse, but there's a lot of other names you could obviously throw at me that I missed.
Listen, I think that those are good names. I like Ime for sure. And Dagnall, he won it last year. I don't know if OKC would duplicate what they did, but I'm going with Tom Thibodeau. I believe. Well, because if it doesn't,
that's good.
I'm making that call to my guy Jay Wright and say, go coach your team from 2016 to 2018. Because if it works out, how could he not be? If they bring in and they work with Julius Randle and you bring in Mikal Bridges, how could it not be? Because they're going to be the 1 seed if that happens, if they play well. And
I'm just worried that he's not going to manage the minutes well, Chris. That's my worry.
Well, again, that's why if he does, think about it. If he does, he will be the coach of the year. And Jamal Mosley will be the other one, is because that roster with KCP coming in, I think they have a chance to being very good as well, bringing all their pieces back. Those are the 2 guys. Nick Nurse, again, that's going to be – we've seen this story before. You see what happened to Frank Vogel and Nick Nurse in the championship, but so was Frank Vogel, as you mentioned, often injured Embiid. We'll see with all those pieces around him. Now they got to throw a bunch of guys back, by Kyle Lowry back. You brought in Eric Gordon, old veterans.
A lot of question marks. You're right.
Yeah, we've seen that movie before, and I just believe that. And Chris Finch is another one. Don't forget about him.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I like what Orlando's doing, and I just think the Knicks, if they get it done, he'll be the coach of the year.
Look, I like Tibbs too. I think I think that's gonna be a fun race. Real quick on executive of the year is the only major award that's actually voted on by the executives. It's not voted on by media members, so it kind of impacts my decision making. But I think it's gonna go to Sam Presti because I just think that the trade for Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, they're not big sexy names. Chris, I don't know where you come down. I just think they're the perfect additions to a team that already was the top seed and has your guy Shea, and they're all gonna. I think Presti's a borderline lock for that award.
Yeah, I think getting Josh Giddey out was great. They tried Gordon Hayward, that didn't work. Green and Caruso, again, a piece to fit. Hartenstein, they needed someone to back up Chet Holmgren. I think those are great moves. But again, I'm going to stay with. I'm going to go to 2 places. Again, I'm with the coach of the year. I'm going back. I think Leon Rose and what they did, bringing back Anunoby, and then giving up the picks to get Mikal. Right, will enable them to get to the next level, beat the Celtics, and probably be NBA champion. Sam Presti's great, but I don't know if those changes, presently constructed, will get them to the the Western Conference championship or to the finals, because the West is still really, really good. Right, the West is still good. If you told me last year, hey, the OKC Thunder are going to play LeBron James and AD if they get past Denver, I'm taking LeBron James. I'm taking the Lakers. But I just don't think the same would happen now bringing Mikal Bridges to New York. That is a real existential threat to the Celtics, period. I don't care what anyone says. And you're bringing Julius Randle back. That's the question. The question is, what will they do with the backup 5? If Julius will have to play some 5, we'll see what happens there. But if they can get that fixed, I believe because of the cohesion, because it's New York, right? I think those guys are what could be a champion next year. So Leon Rose, people can talk about the gamble all they want. The bottom line is, I think they gambled right.
Well, Dal, I'm crossing off Presti. I'm with you. I'm going Leon. By the way, corrections and retractions. Hartenstein was a free agent, and obviously the Knicks weren't able to bring him back, and they had other guys, and perfect signing by OKC. And by the way, to your point, because I was thinking while you're talking, so yeah, it's smart. The other thing about Rose and this award is a lot of times, and I think this is right, but executives have told me they will vote for guys that have been building something for a while because executives see this as not a one-year process. It's a multi-year process to build a winner. And Leon has been slowly constructing, to your point, a championship contender at what was a dumpster fire. And so this next season could be the culmination of what's been a pretty impressive plan. And then lastly, I made fun of this the other day, so make fun of me, but I kind of came around because I don't know who in this brutally mediocre draft class is actually going to be great. Rookie of the year, I'll just go Zach Edey. What the hell? Why not? Let's go.
Bill, I went viral for saying he should be the first pick. You know, I'll take that.
You did.
Actually chopped me up, but I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, 7'5", two-time player of the year champion, dominated college basketball. Who's going to guard him? You're going to put Derek Lively versus Zach Edey? I want to see how that happens. Who's going to guard him? He can make free throws. He's an offensive rebounder. He's going to be in better shape, and he's 2 feet from the basket. Who's going to guard him? You're going to double, and he can pass. I'm telling you, he's going. If he was 6'11", I wouldn't say. If he was Garza, I wouldn't say it. If he was a kid from Kentucky, who's the kid from Kentucky that won Player of the Year? I forget his name real quick. He's in the NBA. It was the Player of the Year. I wouldn't say his name either. But now we're talking about a different type of player here, and he's 7'5".
All right. I have an admission and a compliment.
Huh?
I have an admission and a compliment for you. Admission. When I saw your number 1 overall, I actually injured my right eye rolling my eyes. I rolled my eyes so much, I injured my – but admission, you might be onto something because, I mean, look, I'm getting carried away, but he's just so big.
15 in game 1.
And Memphis could be good, maybe. Memphis could be – we forget they're all hurt. I mean, Ja's back. Those guys are back. So he could be really impactful. He gets 30 minutes a game, 25, 30 minutes a game, and they're impactful minutes, and they win 50-some games, and they're, 4 or 5 in the West, and he's a part of that as a rookie. I like it.
Who would you rather have, Steven Adams or Zach Edey? I'm just saying.
See, I'm going to be an idiot and say Edey, but I know that's wrong. That's wrong. Well, here's the thing. You're right. Adams is gone, so it's like it's such a great piece to add, and where he fell them, it's a nice piece of business for Memphis.
And let me just say this. People talk about drop coverage. Okay, I watched Rudy Gobert in series. I'm like, that dude can't stop people either. That drop coverage thing is a myth. Those guys are pros. You can't stop any pro coming downhill that's skilled like that. I don't care what big it is. You can alter shots.
No, Edey's a nice – yeah, no, Edey's a nice fill-in for Adams, and Adams not there. I mean, that's a nice, like, what Adams was before, maybe Edey can be. And he's – look, I knew how big he was, but and he's playing against summer league dudes who are going to be selling insurance in 8 months. But he's such a beast. He's just such a big dude. This is fun, man. This is me and you. I like chopping it up with you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, man. This is fun, man. Hey, you're the guru. I like to learn from the guru. So at the end of the day, I like to check my opinions, and it's easy when you talk about really good players, but at the end of the day, the NBA is unkind. They got to prove it on the court. That's the bottom line.
I'm a stubborn guy. You sold me on. I'm in. All right, I'm in for the Olympics. Let's go, USA, America. Yeah. I'm here for it, and I'm in on Edey, and I'm in on Leon Rose being executive of the year. Thank you to Chris Walker. I'm Bill Ryder. I think John and Ash are back next week. I'm on vacation next week, so I'm laying low. Chris, are you working? Are you on next week?
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Give me a shout.
We got some magic combos coming on Beyond the Arc next week. Please, again, listen wherever you get your podcast. Head over to our YouTube page, subscribe, and like. Check us out there. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again on Monday.